Right then, guys, here we are in Wynyard at the service station, the supermarket petrol station, and we're going to go for a 25 kilometre drive, which is about 15 miles, and back to Elliott, which is about 6 miles inland. Just heading down past the doctor's surgery to the back street of Wynyard. Wynyard's got sort of two streets pretty much that run from east to west. This way avoids the shops. And the speed limit here I think is about 60 kilometres an hour, or 37 miles an hour. This is dash cam footage, so it's looks like I'm going about 1,000,000 miles an hour. The Church of England there on the right, and in a minute you're about to spot the English River off to the left. Just there where those housing units are used to be the old hospital, which Wynyard no longer has a hospital. The main hospital is at the next town, another 20 odd kilometres away in this direction. Wynyard stretches out to the west behind us a fair distance. It's fairly long, thin town, probably about 6,000 people I think in the municipality. Bass Strait is off to the left, which is a bit of water that separates Tasmania from Australia. Hopefully this isn't too boring. I'll try and fill in some of the gaps and point out some interesting things if anything comes along. If you turn right at this roundabout here, you'll go out to the main Bass Highway, and if you keep going straight ahead you'll end up at Yolla and eventually the west coast of Tasmania. We'll take the scenic drive, which is the old Bass Highway, before they bypass the town. It's been resurfaced recently, still rough, but not so much of a goat track that it was. There's always a problem along here with people on push bikes not having enough room with cars, and it's still plenty narrow. If you park on the side of the road here, obviously you haven't got room for any cars to get past. There's a train line here. They used to have a train that came past that mainly carried logs to Burnie, and it's in disrepair. There's trees growing across the track, and all the logs are carted from Smithton area and that on log trucks at the moment. Most of the line is limited to probably something like 20 miles an hour or less, 35 kilometres an hour, because of it's got heaps of bends in it. It goes along the coast for most of the way, and pretty inefficient way, I suppose, in a lot of instances for carting stuff. Still a lot of containers go from Burnie and go east. Burnie's got a fairly decent sized port, well, decent for Tasmania. and a lot of containers of goods come in there and go out of there. Golf course, one of the golf courses in Wynyard at the right there. This is the Seabrook Golf Course. There's another one on the other side of the river there, opposite where the old hospital was. There's been a section subdivided off this recently, and they've put in housing blocks. So I suppose the business of golf wasn't going that well. The speed limit along here is 70 kilometres an hour, which is about 43 miles an hour. And along here on the beach off to the left, there's a lot of penguins nest here. Fairy penguins, or I think they're called little penguins now. And if you turn up here at dusk, it's almost deafening with the sound of the penguins squawking at each other. You'll notice that we also drive on the correct side of the road here. About to join back into the new part, or relatively new part of the Bass Highway. It's a bit different and about to change again because there's some roadworks here. This feature coming up is called Doctor's Rocks, and they've just cut a great big hole through a few 20 or 30 metres to the right there, and they're going to reroute the highway through there because this has been an area where there's been some serious accidents in the past, because people insist on overtaking on blind corners and stupid things like that. So that's the new road off there to the right. A little penguin fence there to try and stop the penguins from committing suicide in front of cars and trucks. And the overgrown railway line. I think we've got about 37 miles per hour limit here where they're working, and the rest of it's about 50 miles an hour or 80 kilometres an hour. Generally the speed on the highway is 100 kilometres an hour, about 62 miles an hour, unless signed as 110, which is about 68 miles an hour. There is you can't quite see it. We just went past a historic grave from one of the I won't say original property owners, but property owners from 100 or 150 years ago that was buried on the property. And we're just coming into the outskirts of Somerset, which is around about the halfway point. And this business coming up on the right hand side is the Cape View nursery. It was the Cloverlea nursery, but it's been taken over by some different people. Cape View because off to our behind us here is a view of Table Cape at Wynyard. And we're in the 80 kilometre an hour zone, which is 50 miles an hour, 49. A lot of this here is only fairly narrow population, and it's a lot of industrial stuff here for the first mile or two. William Adams, the Caterpillar place, is off to the right just here. See the yard. A few bits and pieces there. If anyone wants to go to the pub, you'll have to get out here in a second. Got the Seabrook Motel to the right there. Off to our left is a train track and the beach. or rocks. Tas Engineering Company, or the Engineering Company. A lot of steel works and that sort of thing here. We're just about to come into the town of Somerset, and we'll turn into the main street shortly. The speed limit here is 70 kilometres an hour, which is about 44 miles an hour. Isn't that an exciting fact? There's a fair bit of agricultural machinery around, as you can see there. And we'll take a bit of a shortcut and go through the town, through the main street, which once upon a time was the main highway, because the highway went through all the towns through the main street of all the towns. We've got a little bit of a deviation here when they sort of bypassed the town with the highway and got it out of the main street. So this street used to go straight ahead, and there was a bridge across the river. They're building a new bridge across the Cam River at the moment on the main highway, but it's a bit of a pain because it's the only bridge across the river for quite a long way. So if anything happens, if there's an accident on the bridge, you have to detour fairly significantly to the south to be able to get round and get back into either if you're going to Burnie or if you're going in Wynyard direction. And this is Foulmouth Street. I think it's got a 30 miles an hour, 50 kilometres an hour speed limit up here. I can't get used to what the picture looks like. It comes out looking like a lot faster than you're actually going in real time. We'll go back down over the side here in Old Cam Road, and just coming up here shortly we'll be able to get back on to the Murchison Highway, which is named after one of the mountains on or towards West Coast at a mining town. So this was pretty much the main road at one point, and then quite a few years ago they built this highway, and through where there's houses it's an 80 kilometre an hour area, about 49-50 miles an hour. The police here don't like people speeding or drink driving or doing stupid things. There's someone caught going a little bit further up the road here doing 90 kilometres an hour in the 80 kilometre zone. Got in a bit of trouble. Sort of going back into the farmland, getting towards farmland now. And the houses are getting less and less. As far as the development, it's only pretty much houses on the edge of the road. There is another development over to the left, a mile or two, that runs along the edge of the river that has a lot of houses, sort of bush blocks. quite a nice little sheltered place. So we're out back up to highway speed now. We've got a speed limit of 100 kilometres an hour, 60 miles an hour, 62 miles an hour through here. And we're coming into my family's original territory. When they came here in about 1860. And they settled off to the right hand side here. There's a road coming up called Village Lane, and they're in there, which goes between the Murchison Highway and the highway back in Wynyard that I said went towards Yolla. So this is a cropping and dairy farm area. There's quite a few central pivot irrigators, great big long irrigators that work themselves around and water the full length of the paddock and don't have to be manually moved. Quite a few small blocks of people that are pretend country people, I suppose. People with enough room to run a couple of horses and that sort of thing. We're just coming up to the outskirts of Elliott now, which was a town once, I suppose. There was a shop and a petrol station. The community hall's still there. Had a school. There were a lot of little schools dotted around in the country here at one stage where 20 or 30 kids went to school. So we're back into the 80 zone now, 49 mile an hour zone at the outskirts of Elliott. And a little bit to the east and off to the west, there's a lot of roads that pretty much go, I suppose, north-south along the ridges of the hills. And just up here on the left-hand side is the old Elliott Hall. Still has a few things going on there occasionally. But, you know, community spirit isn't what it used to be. This building in front of us is the old Elliott School. It's been extended recently, and the schoolmaster's house is just behind it there, which you can't really see. So we're probably getting up towards 800 feet above sea level, probably 230 metres here. Be a bit less than 800 feet. That's where the old shop was there on the left hand side. Because these are pretty much houses on the edge of the road, except for a few exceptions, and paddocks and farms behind them. Of course, the major feature of Elliott here coming up in a couple of seconds, on the left hand side you'll see there's a road called Bugs Lane, just there, and we'll slow down here and turn in to the old section of highway and head towards what's been our front gate for a little while. That was our driveway just there, behind that fridge where our eggs live. And this was the old Murchison Highway before they changed it slightly. It's winter here, so hence the water. Now we just have to wait for someone to open the gate. See if there's anyone home that missed us at all. Hey look, some speed bumps. Mobile speed bumps. I wonder if they'll get out of the way. They're fairly well trained. I haven't managed to run over any yet. Don't particularly want to either. But these guys are a bit of a pain. They like to get in the way. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. See ya.